give him eternal youth and sends him back with this boatman back to his country. But then on the way, the flower is stolen by a serpent. So he comes back empty-handed, but he comes back alive. And it's a miracle because he has gone to the underworld and he has come back from the place no one comes back from. But he is no longer like the ancient heroes. He won't live forever. He won't have eternal youth. And he cannot bring his friend back to life from the dead. So in a way, Gilgamesh is a failure. But he builds a wall around the city and he writes an epic on clay tablets and he seals it in the wall. So finally, the whole city considers him a great hero because he was a great friend of Enkidu. He became a good king. He went to the underworld and came back alive. He killed Hambaba. He killed the bull of heaven. And he built the wall and the city. And though he did not win immortality, he became the author of a book where he wrote down his adventures and buried it in the wall. And he lives forever through this book which he buried in the wall, which of course we don't have, but through the stories that came later about him. So in a way, although he did not get immortality or eternal youth, and he could not bring himself or others back to life from the dead, in a way he got immortality. He lives forever because even today I'm talking of him, and he brings back people from the dead, because today in this session I brought back Enkidu, thus fulfilling his desire to keep Enkidu, his friend, alive all the time. So this is the structure of the epic.
Yeah, thank you very much, Professor. I have a question. Your voice is breaking. Your voice is breaking.
Epic and legendary. Lost you. Even I lost you. The connection is a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yeah, ask. It's clear.
Yeah. So my question is this. Is it true that the epic is incomplete? There is nothing mentioned about his death or anything else, right? It's incomplete. Am I right? The epic is considered an incomplete one. Am I right? The epic of Gilgamesh.
No. It's incomplete not because his death is not mentioned. His death is mentioned. The ending is perfect. It's incomplete because the beginning, it doesn't have some lines in the beginning, and in between there are some sections missing because basically it was required from some clay tablets.
Okay.
And these clay tablets are very important because it shows man is mortal, because you write down your story on a clay tablet. And that's also why it's a very short epic. That's also why it's a very short epic, because it's very difficult to write a long one on clay tablets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. Any questions from your end, please? It would be nice if you all ask questions.
Yes, guys and girls, please.
Sir, good evening, sir. Sadhika here.
Yes, Sadhika.
I just had, it might sound simplistic, but since I am new to this area about myths and epics and all that, so I just had a doubt. Is there a specific difference between epic and myth?
Yes, there's a specific difference between epic and myth. Epics are works of literature, whereas myth are usually called, divinely inspired in different cultures because they deal with the story of the gods. This is more anthropocentric, human-centered.
Okay, but if he's having said that, does it mean that myth always somehow coincides with legends?
Legend.
See, there's no clear demarcation. When I say epic is more human-centered, it doesn't mean that it doesn't have mythical elements or legendary elements. When I say myth, it doesn't mean it doesn't have epic elements or legendary elements. And when I say after that legends, then legends also can have mythical elements and elements of the epic. But I am talking about degrees. A myth is called a myth because in terms of degrees, it deals more with the story of the gods. An
Yes.
epic is called an epic because it deals more with the story of human beings, in the sense that you people don't laugh at you if you don't believe in an epic. But you can get into dangerous ground if you say I don't believe in a myth, in the particular myth in which you belong to.
I just like
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
to add a point with Dr. Koshi's permission. See,
Yeah,
when you talk about myth, as Dr. Koshi said, it deals with the divine. When you talk about a legend, like for example, the legends of King Arthur,
author. Yeah,
you have a fusion of magic realism and the historical narrative. See, a legend is an unverified historical narrative in simplest terms. It's called an
yeah.
unverified historical narrative, and it may or may not contain elements of magical realism, elements of fantasy. So, this is about the legend. So, I hope that
Right.
answers the question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Oh, someone could not get into the second meeting. Very sad. So, shall we close for today? If you finished your questions, we'll
Yeah.
send you some. But I have a
Sir,
request. Okay. Yeah.
sir, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. Can I just? I'm actually not sure what is the difference between because we spoke about myth and legend. Suja ma'am also just spoke about it right now. How is a myth or a legend extremely different from that of an epic? Because I was thinking all this while that King Arthur was an epic, uh, because that's how I think I read a paper on how King Arthur can be an epic. But how is an epic different from a legend or a myth, sir?
Okay. These are three different things. I give you an example. If you read the Rig Veda,
Yes,
the Rig Veda is actually a series of hymns. Okay.
correct.
And it's a series of hymns written uh, to many different gods in that particular Aryan pantheon. Now, while you're reading those hymns, which also tell you about how to do homas and yagas and other things, and how to live and all that. In the middle of that, not given very clearly because that is not the most important thing there. But on the side, there's a story of Indra and the Asuras and Vritra and all that, which you piece out together uh, in the middle of reading Rig Veda, which is not actually about that story. It's not about that epic story of, Indra Dev. It's primarily about how you are supposed to worship the gods, who the gods are, why they should be worshipped, how they should be worshipped, how you can appease them, how you will get the best results, in what way you should conduct yourself in your attitude to them and to others, in what way you should conduct your life. Do you understand?
Yes.
In the
Yes,
middle
sir.
of
Yeah,
that,
yes,
there
sir.
are a few, in the middle of that, there are a few elements which are related to this character called Indra, which if you piece together, you will get the story of Indra Dev and realize that, yeah, that's an epic story.
Okay.
So it's primarily mythic, it's primarily mythological. Rig Veda is mythological. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What I want to say again, to put it in a different way, it is not about Indra. Indra is not the
Correct.
central
Yes.
character. It doesn't follow his exploits. It doesn't explain why he became heroic, why he is a god, the main god we should worship. That's only one of the strands. Do you
Correct.
understand? But when
Yes,
you
sir.
come to Ramayana, you, do you get the difference that I'm saying? When if you come to Ramayana, if you come
Yes, sir.
to the Gospels, the four Gospels in the Bible, if you come to Ramayana, if you come to Mahabharata, this is very different. Because we have a central character. You have the central character of Rama, you have the central character of Krishna, you have the central character of Jesus.
Jesus. Correct.
And you
Yes.
follow their adventures and exploits either as metaphor or literally or figuratively or spiritually or mystically. And you understand how they are heroes, but they became heroes, they became worthy of worship, they became men who are considered in a way as men, half gods, but men who became gods, men who gained immortality, who could bring people back from death to life, who are ever living, ever young, etc. They fulfill the epic pattern. Do you understand
Yes.
now?
Yes. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Same thing with Iliad. Same thing with Iliad. Same thing with Odyssey. Okay?
Correct. Yes, sir. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, sir.
As Dr. Koshi said, a myth, a myth is of a higher order altogether. But if you look at a legend and an epic, they have a lot in common. That is why the Ramayana is often called the legend of King Ram or Prince
Yeah.
Ram.
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Now when we come to legend, when we come to legend, now as Suja said, again, you can see that what happens is uh, slowly the narratology is shifting more towards humanism, and therefore some of the mythological elements are becoming less pronounced or prominent, and some of the epic elements are becoming less pronounced and prominent more and more. And it is more of the legendary aspects and the human aspects that are highlighted. For example, King Arthur brings in a witch. King Arthur, you begin to bring in elements even from folklore and folk tales and fairy tales. You can bring in elves, you can bring in goblins, you can bring in dwarves, pixies into legend. And we have that in Kerala also. If you know about, I'm sure you have it in the Northeast. One of you is from the Northeast. I'm sure you have it in Tamil Nadu. So in Kerala, we have, folk tale, folklore legends. We have legends. We have, material which fits into epics. We have material which is part of the mythology. And, slowly you understand. If you speak of Kuttichatan, it's like a small devil. And you know that this belongs to folklore and it belongs to legend and it belongs to later there's a comic which imitates hot stuff, which also imitates Kuttichathan. I forgot its name. It's very famous, where there's a small red demon with a trident and two horns.
Luttapi
This
and
comes at
Mayavi is
look, Mayavi. The idea of exactly Mayavi and Luttapi. This is Mayavi and Luttapi are coming from legend.
yeah.
They're coming from
He's
legend.
the demon with who's red in color with
Yeah,
the and Mayavi is a
exactly.
Kuti devil or a Kuti Chatan. Kuti meaning small.
Right.
Kuti Chatan, a
Yes.
small devil, very friendly.
Small devil. Exactly. So we can trace out these things once we know the different streams. These
Eboklan, do you
different.
have such demonic or friendly trickster characters in your myths and legends? Do you have such characters?
Yes, ma'am. We have so many of them actually. We have. I'm not sure about epics because when while I'm dealing with the work that I'm doing right now, I mainly just focus on folk tales, myths, and legends. And in legends, yes, we do have a lot of these small demonic uh, characters, and some of them are actually giants as well. They take in the form of giants. They take in the form of a
Yeah,
snake.
exactly.
Yeah, so they come in different forms. Yes, ma'am.
They will be related to the geography of the place. For example, in North India, the trickster is coyote. I mean, North America, coyote. Coyote, because coyotes are found there. So the trickster takes the form of the coyote.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Professor Koshi, for that enlightening session. Celsi, Rosalind, Dr. Yuvraj, do you have any questions?
Yes, ma'am, I have a question.
Yes, you can ask Dr. Koshi.
Yes, sir, you have mentioned it very well, but I have little bit need a clarification from you, sir. Do I ask, sir?
Sure.
Please go ahead.
Sir,
Sure. Ask. Go ahead.
So I'm dealing with the Ponniyin Selvan. It is a historical epic in Tamil Nadu. But the character, the legend of Rajaraja Cholan is mentioned here, and we have the reference of Aravan myth and the Ramayana, Mahabharata myth also there. But the hero of this novel, he doesn't have a fight with a demon like bull, sea monster. Then how could I analyze a myth in it, sir?
See, as Dr. Koshi said, as evolution takes place, as the myth evolves, as the epic evolves, gradually in epics you have heroes fighting with the demons and monsters and sea serpents and dragons and all that. But gradually, when the evolution of the epic, evolves into that by human beings, then they don't fight monsters anymore. That fantasy element is replaced by the human element.
Yeah.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, they fight. They fight.
Hello, ma'am.
Exactly. They fight obstacles in their life. They become heroes because they face and fight obstacles in their life
Sir, I couldn't
and
hear you, sir. Sorry.
overcome them with the help of the gods.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Could you hear me, sir?
Sadhika.
Hello, sir. Ma'am.
I think sir's network is not working properly.
Yeah, I think
Even
it's
from
my
my end, I couldn't.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We
Yes,
can
sir.
hear you now,
Now
sir.
we can hear you. Can you please repeat because your voice?
Can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you. Rosalind, I can hear you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Can
Sir,
you hear
could
me?
you please repeat it, sir?
I'm sorry now.
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Sir, can you please repeat what you said? Because your voice in between got stuck. Please unmute. You were muted.
No, I was only repeating what Suja said. See, gradually, as we enter history, we go away from myth or legend or epic. We enter historical epic, as you called it, Rosalind.
Yes, sir.
Then the monsters they fight, the demons they fight, the sea serpents they fight.
Okay.
The wild bull they fight. All these are transformed into situations they face, obstacles they face in their life and overcome. For example, it can be an enemy king, or it can be winning the love of a woman, or the fact that you love a woman but your parents don't allow you to marry her. So these are seen as obstacles that the heroes fight and overcome, and thereby they become heroes. Do you understand?
Yes, sir. Sure. Thank you, sir.
Or overcoming a woman who's a temptress. It changes. It becomes more metaphorical and less explicit, you can say.
Okay, okay, sir.
An example is that famous film that's come out now, no? What's that film's name?
Which one, sir?
Indian film.
Are you talking about Bulbul?
Not Bulbul, yeah. It begins with B.
Bahubali.
Bahubali. See, Bahubali, Bahubali, the meaning itself is great sacrifice, great
Yes.
sacrifice. And, there's a very interesting scene where at the end, he's going for the battle, and before that, he has to kill this animal to give it as a sacrifice.
Yes, yes.
And, and he refuses to do it. He resists his own people. Do you understand?
Yes, sir. I'm clear.
Yeah, so he is going against the tradition of the epic, and it is becoming more a historical epic. Because earlier, you wouldn't hesitate to kill the animal because the animal represents the wild bull, and the animal represents the animal kingdom, which is more powerful than you, which you have to overcome. That's why you kill it symbolically. But he refuses. He moves on to a deeper symbolical level, and he says, I don't have to kill an animal, I can shed my own blood, which is, the same idea as, Jesus on the cross. He says, I can shed my own blood. Why should I shed the blood of an innocent animal? To save my people, I will become the sacrifice. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
So, it changes over time. And if you come to modernism, then as I told you, the battles become purely human. We still have heroes, we have anti-heroes, we have villains, we have ordinary people becoming heroes. Now a hero can come who's born in a poor family and become a hero, become a king. But they still have to go on a journey, they still have to go on a quest, a voyage, they still have to face obstacles, they still have to overcome those obstacles with some weapons that are given to them by some divine forces, and then only they can come back and get the title of hero.
Yes, sir, it's clear, sir. But a little bit, I need to ask you, sir. Sorry to disturb you. Because in this historical epic, already there is a king and also a crown prince and also the young prince who is later become the legend in the Tamil history. But both these kings and the prince are not the hero, but the prince of Valam, a small city country plays a hero. Country plays a young man is a hero here. So
Yeah.
does we apply the quest of journey, quest of anything, the hero's journey to him?
I don't know the story, but there will be a quest. Without a quest, he cannot become a hero. Why did he's just a person in a small city? Why did he become the hero?
He overcomes all those conspiracies, right? In Ponniyin Selvan, you have so many conspiracies, so many plots
Yes,
mentioned, right? And how he
yes,
overcomes those conspiracies, that itself is a question itself, isn't it? See,
Yeah,
okay, ma'am.
that is what I said. He can't become the hero just because he's nobody. The nobody has to do something to become a somebody. So there has to be a quest. There has to be an overcoming. He has to become victorious. There has to be a journey, a voyage.
thank you,
Okay,
Dr.
sir.
Joshi. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Is there anybody who has any other questions? Celsi, Dr. Yuvraj, do you have any other questions?
Oh, Dr. Sujata, it's an observation. It was very interesting. and a trip down memory lane, I would say, because it was like listening to such wonderful stories, and thank you so much, sir, for the wonderful session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. There's one last point for Rosaline. You see, without conflict, there can't be resolution.
Celsi, do you have anything to ask? Celsi?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
I was actually able to relate the story to the myth of Eurydice.
Okay, Orpheus
Yes,
and Eurydice. Yes.
yes,
Yes,
Orpheus and
ma'am.
you.
Where Orpheus goes back to hell to bring back Eurydice. Looks like it is impossible to bring someone from hell to mortality back.
This is where Hercules does that. Actually, he and Theseus go there, and Hercules manages to bring Theseus back from the underworld. There are cases where, if, for example, the case of Persephone, who is taken by,
Mm-mm.
she is brought back, but only she can stay only half the time over ground, and half
Mm.
the time she has to stay underground. There are rare
Mm.
cases also, but
Mm.
it's like in Orpheus and Eurydice. For human beings, I suppose it's not so easy.
Yes, ma'am.
See, we even now, for example, my friend, he is a believer in Sai, and he says that Sai brought someone back uh, to life from death. And Buddha, a person went to Buddha and said, will you bring my son back to life? And he said, I can, provided you answer a certain question. So these stories continue to circulate. It's not about whether they are, see, I don't want to bring in the question of true or false here. But what I'm
Yes, sir.
saying is these stories continue to circulate because they contain a mythical substratum which people want to
Mm.
keep alive by telling these
Mm.
stories. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Koshi. The session is being recorded, and I shall be sharing this on
Wow.
YouTube session. Okay, our YouTube channel.
Thanks. Yeah, I
Thank you
think it
so
was a
much.
terrific session. Thank you.
No, in fact, we should thank you, for providing such insights. If there's anybody else who wishes to provide any feedback, please feel free to do so. Next class, what shall be, next session, I wouldn't say class, sorry. Next session, what shall we do? I ask for your opinion, I elicit your feedback in this regard, your opinion in this regard. What shall we do next, in our next session? You please tell me what we should do.
Dr. Sujata, I have a suggestion. Why can't we ask scholars, pursuing their research in case if they are interested to share their views on what exactly is the nature of research and things like that. That would sort of, be of interest to all, right? So it's a
Yeah,
suggestion in case if.
sounds good. This sounds good. Eboklang, Celsi, Sophia. If Sadika is interested, Sadika, yes. Why don't you people talk about something? It would be good.
Yes, ma'am. That'll be lovely. Actually, I wouldn't mind sharing my. I am not done with it, so I will just have a few things that I can like add on to, and I would love for suggestions as well, since I am in
Oh,
at
why
the.
not? Happy to listen to you. We'll be very happy to listen to you.
Yes. So I'll be dealing mostly with myth and legends and how these myth and legends are being drawn from oral tradition, and how this oral tradition is actually the source of the formation of our identity as Khasis and Jaintias from the Northeast. So
Great.
if
Very
that is
happy to
okay
learn
with
about that.
everyone.
Yeah, because the Northeast is something which we really have not much idea about, and we are very fascinated by the idea that you're working on myths and legends. So we'll in fact be very happy to learn from you.
Sure, ma'am. So basically, I'll be just choosing a few myths and legends, and I'll give like a small brief explanation.
Sure.
So that way even other people can also, if they want to do a comparative study of the myths from the Khasis and the myths from their own region, it'll be wonderful as well.
Sure, sure. Definitely. Thank you very much. That would be great.
Sure, ma'am.
Chelsea,
Yes, ma'am.
would you like to deal with something?
Yes, ma'am. I have not yet chosen my topic, but I have a plan. So I am about to deal with Alaskan myth
Why not? That's great.
and Indian mythology. Alaskan myth is something very new that we are not very common about. So I can bring about few of the mythologies of Alaskan.
Great. Okay, perfect. So we will meet on 29th of August. We will meet after this. So happy Independence Day to all of you. And thank you very much, Dr. Koshi, for that session. Thank you very much.
Yeah, happy Independence Day to all of you. I also want to ask you one thing. Please don't think I'm pushing you guys, but
No,
please
no,
buy that book if possible.
confirms for today.
Because it's for a cause.
I'll get tomorrow happens to be Sunday, so my net banking won't work on Sunday. Monday, positively, I will take a couple of copies. In fact, one for me and one for a friend of mine as well. I'll be taking two of
Thank you.
yeah, because it's
Thank
going
you so
towards
much.
supporting somebody for cancer. We really want to help.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's why I'm asking. Otherwise, I wouldn't. I never ask
No,
people
no,
to buy the book.
ready to-
Okay.
Thank you very much for joining the session and have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you,
Bye.
ma'am. Thank you,
Happy
sir.
Independence
Bye.
Day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Bye bye.